Virgo, what is up, y'all? How y'all doing? What is good with you? It is time to go ahead and knock out your main monthly reading for December 2025. Any of y'all happen to catch a glimpse of 2025? Anybody? I didn't. It just said, pew! Anyway, here we are again. Another calendar in the books. Anyway, if any of you are in need of a personal reading, you can find all the information you need on how to go about scheduling a personal reading in the description of this video. If you are catching this video within the month of November, because that is when I'm recording this video, is in November, we are running our Black Friday sale all November long. That's how we do it every year. And remember, we do, for those of you who have followed me for a long time, we got a couple of little special treats up our sleeve for actual Black Friday. But yeah, we run the big sale all month long. So if you want to check out some of the sales I got going on this month, if you want, you can just go straight to my website, tarotwithrich.com. But like I said, there's a link right down there in the description. All right. Okie dokie. Let's jump on into this. Let's see how it's looking with the singles and the person that you're interested in. Single Virgos and your love interest. What's happening in December? Anything good happening? Anything bad happening? Anything happening at all? What's happening, man, with Virgo? Ooh, Eight of Cups reversed. So, looks like you're not finding it in yourself to walk away from this. Let's see if anything good's happening. But you're starting to wonder whether or not it's worth all the work. Still trying your damnedest to be as patient as possible. It kind of, this is, ooh. Well, I don't know. This is one of those things that it's kind of, I don't want to say back and forth. I mean, there may have been back and forth energy between the two of you, but in December, I want to say more like start, stop type energy, if that makes sense. Because we got the 10 of Cups here, very down here at the very, very, very end. So I do think that this is finally turning into a relationship, but it's like start, stop. It really feels like things are picking up and moving, and then it feels like things aren't moving forward. And then it feels like things are moving again, and then it feels like things maybe aren't moving forward. And that may lead you to kind of question yourself, wondering if you're going a little bit crazy. Am I tripping? Was it not moving forward? Or is it not stopping? What's going on here? Why does this dude always come through? Why does this dude always come through for your current love interest? Well, some of you could be dealing with somebody that has an addiction issue, potentially, but maybe you're starting to wonder whether or not this is just a sex-based connection. This one comes out for fucking everybody, dude. Whether it's upright or reverse, this one comes through for everybody. Everybody. Really getting tired of waiting, but you are mustering every ounce of strength that you have to be as patient as possible. And it's kind of getting to the point where it's starting to drain the shit out of you. Some of you dealing with an Aries. I have two Aries cards here. Ooh, I have Aquarius too. This is the baddest ass star card I've ever seen in my life. As you can tell, I got a Christmas deck here. And he's wearing an ugly Christmas sweater. That is so fucking badass, dude. I love that. But it's not badass when it comes out in the reverse, and this is your energy involving a new connection. Kind of losing hope a little bit. So I'm talking about the signs. I have Aries, Aquarius, Sagittarius, Leo, Capricorn. Could be anybody, y'all. Those are just energies. Well, let's see their true feelings, energies, and intentions. Virgo's love interest. How do they really see you? How do they really feel about you? What are their thoughts, feelings, and opinions, hopes, dreams, and expectations? Boop-boop-boop-be-doo. Death card reversed, man. You know what that means, right? Could be a Scorpio for some of you, but that's past energy right there. Hang on, let me just see what the rest of the spread says. Let's get 3 shuffles. There's 1, 2, and 3. Boo boop be doo, boo doo, be doop be doop boo boo doo doo. Okay, there's a lot of really miscellaneous, mixed messages in here. So for those of you who are wondering whether or not this person has moved on from their ex, no, they have not. But for those of you, okay, so some of you may be dealing with somebody that's always busy with work. And if you're wondering whether or not this person is lying to you when they say they're busy with work, no, they're not. No, they're not. There's no point in me holding these cards up because this is not a traditional deck, but this is the 8 of Pentacles. So if you're dealing with somebody that says they're busy with work and the 8 of Pentacles comes up, that means they're telling you the truth. This person does want to settle down and find long-term stability and happiness. I just don't think they've decided whether or not they want to move forward and find someone new or, you know, reconcile with a past person, but it's getting to a point where with the Tower card here, they're starting to lean more into the past being in the past, but they still have a pretty strong energetic tie to the past. So they're starting to lean more into, you know, moving forward with someone new, but on an energetic level, you know, if they haven't fully released that from the past, that energy is going to be ever present between the two of you, and it's going to be damn near tangible and palpable. Especially to a sensitive ass Virgo. You are highly sensitive to energy. Highly sensitive. You can smell that shit, can't you? Okay. Some of you dealing with a Pisces. I also have Scorpio and Saggy. All right. Well, let's get some advice. I don't even have any personal advice for that, honestly. I really don't. Let's just see what comes through. Let's see what comes through, dude. What wants to come through, dude? Okay, so it's very important that we acknowledge red flags in the beginning. I got news for everybody out there. There's always going to be red flags. Now, let me preface this before I move on. When I say red flags, I'm not talking about big, crazy, outlandish, fucked up red flags. That's not a red flag. If you find out that this person is living a double life as a crack-addicted hooker on the weekends, that's not a red flag. That's a fucking run, okay? I'm not saying that if you find out this person just got out of prison a couple of months ago after doing 20 years for some of the most egregious, heinous, unthinkable shit you could ever possibly fathom. That's not a red flag, that's a fucking run. I'm talking about red flags. Every person has at least one red flag. Every connection is going to have a red flag. Okay? You know, like little discrepancies, miscommunications, you know, saying one thing and saying something different the next day, or actions not matching words, words not matching actions. They're always going to be there. It's either going to be intentional or it's going to be harmless and accidental. It's going to be there one way or the other. We talk about it. We shine light on it in the beginning. You know, because one or two things. If somebody keeps saying one thing one day, another thing another day, actions not matching words, words not matching actions, there's one or two things. Either they think you're a fucking idiot, or they're just not paying attention. They mean no harm by it. Does it matter? Not in retrospect, it doesn't. When you look back, you know, we always like to look back at the red flags. Doesn't matter. The energy is going to manifest the way it manifests. So let's call it out politely. Okay, I'm not saying be a rude, abrasive, aggressive shit ass about it. Be cool about it, but let it be known I saw that. Yo, maybe I'm crazy, but I could have swore that the other day you said this, and now you said this. Is that me? Maybe I'm just tripping. I don't know. But I could have swore you said this the other day, dude. And now you're saying this. Totally cool about it. Not being rude, not being angry, not being judgy or abrasive or aggressive. Just letting you know I fucking saw that shit. All right? And if it happens again, bring it to light again. Hey, there we go again. Maybe I'm fucking losing it, dude, but I could have swore the other day you said this. And now you're saying this. What's going on, man? Am I tripping? Let it be known. I saw that. And hopefully we can tackle these little issues in the beginning. There are quite a few relationships that come to an end for no good reason other than we didn't address the tiny, silly little bullshit ass red flags in the beginning. How many times have you been in a relationship where all of a sudden, one day, out of the clear blue sunshiny sky, something that was never a fucking problem is all of a sudden a problem? All of a sudden, out of nowhere. We've been together for 8 months. You've never had a problem with this before. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this is a problem? Right? That is a result of energy and tension building and building and building and building and building and building and building. We don't want to do that. Okay? All right. Current long-term partner. So, if you are not in a long-term relationship, this is not for you. If you are in a long-term relationship, but the two of you are not experiencing any problems, this is not for you. If your love life is happy, healthy, successful, you have no problems, there's no issues, no concerns, you shouldn't even know my fucking name. What are you doing here? Go have fun, go enjoy your life. This is only for my sun, moon, rising, and Venus, Virgo, friends and family in a long-term relationship that's got fucking problems, okay? You don't need to be here if you ain't got no problems. Let's see how the energy's looking in December. Ooh, King of Wands. Some of y'all dealing with a fire sign, possibly. Some of y'all dealing with a Leo. 2 Leo cards. Death reverse. Could be a Scorpio for some of you. And you know what? Death reverse, 6 of Cups means Some of y'all done been on and off with this person. Some of y'all. Either way, though, I feel like an ending is being prevented. Right? It's being prevented. This is something that maybe you should have walked away from a long time ago, that for some reason you just can't really seem to find it in you to walk away from it now for whatever reason, somehow, some way. So, man, one thing I'm seeing here, though, the very first thing that yells at me is this is the only cup card I have on the table. And this is the card of past memories, not a mutual love connection. So I kind of feel like one, the other, or both of you is trying to get back to the way it used to be. It just ain't fucking happening. It just ain't happening. Judgment reversed. So, yeah, an ending is being prevented. An ending that probably should have happened a long time ago. And again, for some of you, it did happen a long time ago. And some of y'all have probably done this a few times with this person. Some of you dealing with a Cancer also has Scorpio, Leo, and Saggy. All right, let's see how they feel about you. Current long-term partner Virgo is dealing with. What are their truest, deepest feelings, energies, and intentions? Boom. I don't think they want this to come to an end. They don't want the drama. They don't want this to come to an end, but they're starting to feel like there's no choice but to just go ahead and walk away from this and move on from it. For those of you who have kids with this person, that may be the only thing that's been keeping them around is the kids. But when it all comes down to it, at the deepest level, they don't want this to be over. They don't want this to come to an end. But they're starting to feel like that's their only choice. That's their only option. So in their mind, again, this is their perspective. This is their perception. I'm not saying that this is the end all be all gospel of truth. In their mind, they've done everything they can possibly do. And they can't think of anything else to do to try to work on this. I don't know if they have or not. I know some of y'all are yelling at the screen right now. Don't yell at me. I'm just reading their perspective, okay? So, but, ooh, here's a twist to things. They don't want to show you their vulnerability. They don't want to show you that. They don't want to show you that they actually care a lot about this connection. Have you given them reason to be afraid to open up and be vulnerable? Or do they just have a big ass ego and an inferiority complex? I don't know. But for that, I don't understand y'all have been together long term. This is long term. So at what point do you consider a relationship long term? I would say at the minimum, more than 2 years, right? And that's the minimum, bare minimum, before you can start technically calling it long term, after about 2 years. But I know the majority of you, the people who come to me for the current long-term partner, about 7 to 8 out of 10 of them, they've been together longer than 5 years. So I would imagine if you've been with somebody longer than 5 years, how do you do that without being vulnerable? I mean, my first marriage lasted exactly 5 years to the month. And no, we weren't very vulnerable with each other at all. And it was highly toxic. Highly toxic. I have now been with my divine life partner for 6.5 years. I could not imagine not showing any vulnerability. Couldn't imagine that. So is this something new? Or has this person always been like this? These are the kind of questions I would ask if I had you on a Zoom call. How long y'all been together? Has it always been like this? I couldn't imagine that, but hey. Now, it's not too uncommon for a reading to come across my desk of somebody who's been in a relationship for 20 years before their true colors come to the surface. And there's more. There's something seriously fucked up going on when you got a situation like that. But I don't want to trail off into that shit. I think this person cares a lot more than you know. You may be under the impression that they just give no fucks, that they just do not care. That ain't true. But if they're not willing to show you that, then it may as well be, right? May as well be. All right, let's get the advice. Hang on, my hands are dry. Let me... Okay. What's the advice? Boop-boop-doo. Advice for Virgo. Knight of Wands reversed. Devil reversed. Ace of Cups upright. Two of Swords. Man, I'm not going to lie. I dread this more than anything else in my whole job. Advice for a current long-term relationship. And it's because after you've been together for so long, there's so many, it's so hard to make a change. It's hard for things to change after you've been together for so long. You know, especially if you have had conversations that consist of something to the effect of, I'm not going to put up with this much longer. And then you keep putting up with it, right? If you do that one more time, I'm leaving. And then they do it one more time and you don't leave. You know, if that shit strings on for too long, the likelihood that anything is going to change is astronomically low. Astronomically low. If I see and I'm shown that there's not going to be any real consequences for my actions, just empty threats, fuck you. I'm not changing. Why would I? You know? Oh, man. Well, all I'm going to say is this. And this is very general and open-ended. If the two of you do not take a different energetic pathway together, this relationship will not see 2030. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say. Best case scenario, it withers away and this connection suffers a slow, nasty, painful death. That's best case scenario. So I'm just going to leave that at that. You take that and do with it what you will. Oh, hang on. I got to clear the air after that, man. That was incredibly heavy. Hang on. That was insanely heavy. I didn't expect that. What the hell y'all dealing with, man? Jesus Christ, Batman. Whew. I'll clear the air real quick. Time for a sage break. Sage break. I actually haven't saged in here in a few days, honestly. All right. I love the smell of sage, man. It's funny when people don't. Tells you everything you need to know about them, don't it? I remember when my wife started working these farmers markets about 4 years ago. And she had a little booth, you know, one of the little spiritual booths with the crystals and shit. And then another thing she had was where you could take a sage bath if you wanted to. We're outside. And she kept a sage stick sitting there burning. Somebody on the other end of the parking lot complained of the sage burning outside and made us put it out. We outside. And the smell of sage burning bothers you that fucking bad? That tells me a lot about you. That tells me a whole fucking lot about you. Tells me every goddamn thing I need to know right there. Anywho, all right. Let's see how the energy is looking generally for the singles. Anything new coming in? Anything old coming in? Anything good coming in? Anything bad coming in? Anything coming in at all, man? How's it looking generally for the singles in December? Oh, man. Y'all are going to get sick of hearing this. Let me put this back in the deck. Actually, let me use another deck. I know y'all are going to get so tired of hearing me talk about that. Let me just pull another spread. Try to work around it. All right, how's it looking for the singles in December? Boopy-doo. Well, that's not much better. All right, I'm not really going to be able to work around this. So the good news is it's time to level up. You know what that means, right? You know what level up time means, right? Time to be tested. I think some of you are probably going to be tested more than once. But there's definitely, even though some of you have multiple options and opportunities available to you, there's one in particular that when the universe cracks this door open, if you decide to acquiesce to this connection, oh, it's going to be a test. Going to be a big old test. Boy! So, actually, honestly, though, this feels to me like most of you are walking in a strong enough energy to where you'll be able to pass that test with flying colors. So I don't really think you're going to have anything to worry about, because I don't know why the Queen of Wands always comes out for Virgo. Always. At some point in time, Queen of Wands always going to come out for Virgo. Queen of Wands don't take no shit. Queen of Wands don't fuck around. She don't play games. You ain't gonna play games with her. I'm gonna tell you what right now. You ain't gonna play games with the Queen of Wands. No, the fuck you ain't. So, yeah, somebody's probably gonna try to play some mind games with you. Gaslight you. Blow smoke up your ass to use you for something. This is most commonly referred to as a sex-based connection. But, you know, use you for something that they can get out of you that's not a genuine mutual love connection and a long-term successful partnership. And I don't think you're falling for it. You ain't falling for it for a minute. Okay. Let's see if we can get a little bit better of a picture of what their intentions are. Sometimes my hands are a little bit tied about what I can talk about when you're being tested, because it's a test. Not allowed to give you all the answers. But let's see if we can dig up their intentions a little bit deeper. Haha, what I tell you, Queen of Wands. They definitely, I think, want to test to see how emotionally and psychologically vulnerable you are. Yeah, I don't even think this person wants a relationship at all. Like, at all. This feels like a good old classic case of somebody that got their heart broke and is just wanting to play around. Emotional manipulator. I want to play around and have my cake and eat it too, but I ain't trying to be with nobody because I don't want to let nobody get near my heart. So, yep, they just want quick in and out, chum chum. Quick little in and out, chum 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 chum. So, what a person like this is going to do is they're going to start gauging you and testing you and seeing what buttons do what, emotional buttons. And if they, well, I don't know. This person kind of feels like the type to where they've probably done this many times. And if they get the idea that you're not going to be a very easy to cookie to crack, they'll probably back off, honestly. Because game players who have taken many trips around the block, they eventually end up learning that there's some people out there who got fucking boundaries. And if you're a game player and you're trying to manipulate people, your worst nightmare is somebody who has boundaries. Somebody who can't be fucking played with, who can't be manipulated. It ain't worth the drama. Oh, it ain't worth its drama. Right? And it should be fucking drama, right? It should be. I'm going to go around playing stupid ass games like that. You're going to win stupid ass prizes. And they know this. And some of them, I know this may kind of sound like a bit of an oxymoron, but sometimes you'll run into a very wise game player. They played the game a million times. They've been there, done that, bought the beer koozie, the t-shirt, and slipped on a dog shit on the way out. They ain't trying to do all that. So I think once they get a good feel, for your energy, that you ain't fucking around and you ain't playing no games, they don't want to deal with that. So, all right, let's see if there's any advice. So far, it doesn't really sound like it needs it, but we'll double check. Any advice want to come through for Virgo? Any advice? Hangman reverse. Yeah, you gotta be tough and rigid. I'll tell you what, something that can really tell you a lot about a person 90% of the time. Nothing is guaranteed, nothing is 100%, but this one's pretty fucking spot on, is how they respond to your boundaries. Right? When you set a boundary, how are they going to respond to it? A person who is not trying to manipulate you will not overstep your boundaries for a fucking minute. because they respect you. A person with good intentions is actually trying to lay a foundation with pure intentions. If I'm looking for a fucking divine life partner, I'm not looking for somebody that I have to manipulate, somebody that I have to try to control or persuade. It's not what I'm looking for, right? It shouldn't be this complicated, confusing obstacle course that I have to jump through. So if you set a boundary, okay, cool. That's what it is. I respect you. I'm trying to have a relationship based on respect. A person who's not trying to manipulate you is going to respect your boundaries. But a person that is trying to manipulate you, even if you're watching really carefully, even a wise game player who can spot a person that's a tough cookie to crack is still going to try to see what they can get away with. They're still going to poke and test a few times. And that'll tell you everything you need to know about a person. If you set a boundary and you can tell they're trying to push it, even if it's very covert and clandestine, they're trying to test it and push it and see what they can get away with. Little bitty backhanded compliments here and there. Little bitty covert, slick, sneaky, shady remarks to get up under your skin and start poking at you and making you feel guilty. And, you know, shame and guilt are two things you want to watch out for. If somebody's trying to shame you for a boundary, watch out. But yeah, when you get that feeling should not be there. It shouldn't be there. When something feels off, you have a very short window of time for it to stop feeling so off. We're all humans. We all have good days. We all have bad days. There's going to be times where energy feels off. That's just what it is. But when you first connect with a new person, if something feels fucking off like that, very short window of time for that off feeling to start dissipating. If it doesn't, and it continues getting heavier, you better watch out. You better watch out. All right, y'all. I feel like those were the messages that my Virgo family needed to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thanks again for tuning in and playing along. Don't forget, information for personal readings is all down here in the description. All right? I'm out of here now, y'all. I will see you sometime between now and the rest of all eternity. Stay blessed.